Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show, a podcast by SaaStock. Here we interview SaaS founders from around the world who've been there and done that, as they share the ins and outs of how they built their businesses, their operations, their path to securing investment, and more. Our mission with the podcast is to help you, the founder, learn how to scale your SaaS, maintain your well-being, and navigate the complexities of this ever-changing industry. I'm your host, Alex Duma, and together we'll explore the good, the bad, and the ugly in the journey to SaaS success. Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show. I am your host, Alex Duma. Delighted to be joined today by Jorge Lluch, who is a co-founder of Abacum. How are you doing, Jorge?
Hi, Alex. Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, good to have you on the podcast. Obviously, we're doing this remotely, doing this virtually. I get to do this in person tomorrow, which I'm excited for, as I'm flying out to Barcelona, where you're based, and you've kindly agreed to speak to the SaaS founder community in Barcelona at the upcoming SaaStock local event there. So a nice little dummy run for us today, a bit of practice for the in-person. Not that we need the practice, but good to do this anyway. But I always love doing this in person as well. So excited for that. Apart from the 4:30 a.m. start to get to the airport, but I used to be better at those when I was a little bit younger. But lots of coffee, so I'm going to be very caffeinated tomorrow.
Hope you have a great flight.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It should be fine. Great to have you on the podcast for the first time. I think we've been looking to do this for a while, but the timing has been quite right, I think, for this one, because Abacum has just announced its Series B. So raised 60 million, I think, led by Scale Venture Partners, correct? So
yes,
congrats on that. And a lot of, I guess, interesting things from that, which can lead into the conversation today, because I saw within a lot of the announcements, there was a lot of publicity last week, which was great, in that Abacum managed to grow 3x over the last 12 months whilst keeping the costs the same. And so we'd really love to dig into that. And I guess this is all tied together, right? Because probably a few months ago, Abacum was named by Deloitte as the fastest growing tech company in Spain, from their research of 50 fast growing tech companies. So exciting times for you guys. You're doing really well, and what we want to get out of this is how you're doing well. What are the things that Abacum are doing that our audience can learn from. I guess before we jump into that, maybe just a little bit about yourself, like who you are outside of being a co-founder of Abacum as well. That would be great, and maybe just lean into then like why you started Abacum, and we can fast forward into today and how you're doing these amazing things.
Awesome. Of course, Alex. Hope that this story might help someone, provide insights. I've been privileged to work with amazing entrepreneurs, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that inspiration. So always try to to put my brain soul there. Briefly on my side, if you want, husband, father of 3. I'm a founder and actually engineer by education, and I would add a sports freak. I love any kind of a sport, and so more or less, that's who I think I am.
On the sports side, is your team Barcelona?
It is.
It is. I've still never been to the new camp, or the camp. Is it the Camp Nou or the new camp? What do we say?
You actually can say both ways.
Yeah.
I would say it's Camp Nou, but
yeah,
a lot of people call it No Camp. So now it's the Spotify Camp Nou.
How many games have you been to?
I'm actually I have a season pass ticket.
Okay.
My grandpa, my dad had one. I had that privilege, that luck, and so I've been going to watch the game since I was really, really young, and that probably helped on my Barcelona, funness.
And is Lamine Yamal the best in the world right now? Is he going to win the Ballon d'Or?
It doesn't depend on me, but he clearly is the best in the world right now.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I would hear that from a Barcelona fan, but it also does appear that he is such an amazing generational talent. So I think, and obviously this is not a football podcast, by the way, but it's just, sharing a bit of light into who Jorge is. But I can't remember what podcast it was, but they were saying that, like when Messi and Ronaldo sort of, come around, people are not expecting to see such talents, again, for a very long time. And then, all of a sudden Lamine Yamal's here and we're kind of talking about him as being that next generational talent. So yeah, very, very exciting player to watch. And am I right? So obviously I know you're an entrepreneur because you're the co-founder of Abacum. Prior to that, were you at Travelberg?
I had the privilege, as I say, to work with great founders, entrepreneurs. I was CFO, COO in really fast-growing companies like Travelberg, Wallapop, Privalia, who was sold to Ben Privé a while ago. And yes, working with Abby, with Lucas for this type of level, this type of caliber of entrepreneurs. It did spark that it ignite my desire to at some point be a founder myself.
I guess, I mean, look, you can obviously share then why you built Abacum, but given your role as, CFO at some of those companies, then I would expect there was a particular pain that you felt and saw and led you to build what is now Abacum, right?
100%. So as I was saying, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I actually thought I was going to probably copycat something that was working somewhere else, bring it to Spain or some other market. But I was extremely lucky that during the summer of 2019, my friend Julio from the MBA reached out. He wanted to launch his own company. He had been exploring the market, and he had a clear thesis on building software for finance teams. And he was already, looking really deep into the FP&A space. That highly resonated with my personal experience. I was extremely frustrated as a CFO on having to do everything financial manually with no proper tool for collaboration. Across, back in the day, all companies were embracing the SaaS revolution, all teams except finance. I had this feeling that we were stuck in the past, and it had to be a better way on how to work on financial planning. And so got extremely excited about partnering with Julio and truly working on building the product I wish I had. I thought the founder market fit was extremely strong. And based on Julio's experience, on my experience, that we would actually have a shot on getting this company started and then test ourselves on the execution to see if we deserve, and we were good enough to build a company that has the opportunity, because we think the market is huge and that the opportunity is out there. So there is the opportunity to build a generational company here.
When did this start? So obviously, like we mentioned on the podcast, the Series B has just been announced. When did you start? And I guess, did you straight away raise sort of pre-seed, go venture back, decide to be venture backed and go for that?
Yes. So in the early days, well, Julio and I didn't have probably the level of savings that would require to build a product like the one we have. And we also knew that the level of speed and growth that we needed to deliver and required to get external funding. And we were extremely lucky to have the backing of K-Fund, two founders, and slightly later of Grandom, going through Y Combinator. That also helped us accelerate. And luck is always an extremely important factor. So although when we launched Abacum, March 2020 is when COVID hit, and we were slightly naive. We didn't think COVID was going to be as crazy as it was. First, we were a little bit scared about, okay, watch out. We have this weird virus going all over the world. But then the reality is that it was great for tech companies. Some months later, low interest rates, money flowing into the space, that allowed us to do two pretty successful funding rounds. The seed round led by Crandom, the Series A led by Atomico. And so we were able to raise quite substantial amount of money to fuel and to invest on building the best solution for the mid market in FP&A. And so I always keep in mind that, the luck plays a role. And I think that we were, lucky. As also someone really smart said, luck needs to find you when you're working. So that's what Julio and I have been doing since day zero. Work is extremely hard.
On the working extremely hard, maybe, and I don't doubt that, and I think every entrepreneur, should be working extremely hard, and you need to. What does that look like on a, day to day, sort of like week to week basis? Like, are you, what time do you start work? What time do you finish work? Do you have to work on weekends? And like, how do you manage that? Is there any work life balance?
I guess that when you found a company, you need to realize that this is going to be part of your life. So it's not like something external that you can put aside. Your mind is going to continuously, thinking about challenges, opportunities, problems. So, and I would say that you work 365 days a year, right? Maybe you're not in front of the computer, but clearly your mind, alongside my wife, my kids, Abacum is there. Then what you need to do is have the discipline to find some time to take care of yourself, because in order to perform at the maximum, you need to try, to have time to practice the sports, to be healthy, because if not, you're not gonna endure. And although some people say that founding a company is like a marathon, not a sprint, you're actually sprinting a lot of, and so while you're going to be sprinting while doing the marathon, you need to find times to make sure that you are in the best shape possible. Then I do have to say that kids also force you to take some time away from work. And my kids are 14, 11, and 8. The younger one was 3 years old when slightly, well, 2, almost 3. And so they were already old enough that if they were talking to me and I was with my phone or with my computer, I was not paying attention. So they would say, "Hey, Dad, come play with us." And now that they're getting older, they are even more vocal. "Hey, are you going to work over this weekend? What are you going to do?" So then I'm in this case, yes, I'm extremely lucky about, having Lucia, my wife, in my life. She helps me tremendously to keep the balance. And then what I try to do is organize myself. So on your question, how is my week looks like? How is my day to day? I like to run. And so I try to wake up at 5:50 every morning. And if I need to work, then I'll work a little bit before the kids wake up and you have all that breakfast or, getting ready to school, or I'll go outside and I'll run. And I try to do that 3-4 days a week. And then, you try to get yourself spending time with family and Abacum. The thing that I'm probably not good at is keeping track with my friends. I do apologize to them that's probably the ball that I'm not able to jog at currently the way that I would like, but it's true. It's a matter of priorities. The days only have 24 hours a day, right? And so you try to make the most. And my focus today is on that, a little bit on myself, on making sure that I'm healthy, as healthy as I can get. With sleeping, probably I need to do much better on that, but let's try to sleep a little bit, some sport and family time and Abacum time. And then, yes, keep on pushing every day.
That's good. It's a good recipe, and a good way to think about it. And I think you're right. Like, it is, being an entrepreneur is, it's 365 days a year, and it may be Christmas Day, but you may still be thinking, or certainly will be. Like, I think there are, constantly sort of moments. And if we look like, in the morning, if I look at my morning routine, I take the dogs out for the morning, go for a walk, but there's, constantly think whilst I'm doing something for myself and for the dogs, thinking about work sort of in these moments, it's very hard to not, you're very committed to this, right? So, but I also like your point about a lot of people say it is a marathon, and that is true. But within that, you've got a sprint, like a lot of sprints. So it's good to hear. So let's fast forward then maybe just to the last 12 months, right? Because I guess kind of what you've been doing over the last 12 months from a performance perspective, on the business has enabled this Series B, and specifically what we called out was, growing 3x, but keeping costs the same. So can you unpack that a little bit in maybe, on the growth side, and then we'll talk about some of the things that you've done on the growth side to grow 3x, what has worked, maybe what hasn't. But then we can also then touch on keeping the cost the same. Like, how do you grow 3x and keep the cost the same?
2024 was a pivotal year for us. We had been growing quite a lot. If not, we would have not been named the fastest growing company in Spain, right? But the reality is that the company, the product, everything takes time for you to crack. Building an FP&A solution is not easy. It's probably, maybe every founder says that, but I do believe it's one of the most complex and difficult products to be built. And you need to build a product that has ETL components to connect to different data sources, pull the data seamlessly, data transformations, then have a corporate performance module, be able to display actuals versus budgets, reporting, so BI capabilities, then planning. You need to model inside the platform, build your models for a scenario, for forecasting, budgeting. And then our solution is extremely collaborative. So it needs to be easy to use, even by non-finance people. So all those are like even 4 products in itself. Why am I saying that? Because it took time. And well, we were able to raise quite such amount of money, as I said, Alex, earlier on. So we were able to invest a lot in the product. We made that bet as founders that even despite in 2023, market conditions were not good, we kept with a heavy investment on that product side. So when we started maybe going through 2023, getting closer to 2024, the product had reached a level of maturity that placed us probably as the strongest FP&A solution in the mid market. And we could take hours debating about what that means, but not to go crazy. So maybe the audience will have to believe that. But it's true. We had been focused on building the product for the mid market, and it reached the level of maturity, that it was, it showed that it was extremely good. Why am I, what came out of that? And also learning on our playbooks, on sales, on marketing, that we blew our expectations in 2024. We grew much faster than expected. Our close won ratios were extremely high, and they were above, benchmarks and market benchmarks. And one thing that built our equity story. And the focus on efficiency, I think every company out there through 2023, 2024, everyone transitioned from grow at all costs to efficient growth. And so Julio and I, what we did is, okay, every headcount counts. So anyone that comes and joins the company needs to bring and provide a positive ROI. Let's not scale ahead of our time. Through 2020 to 2021, there was a lot of companies, even ourselves, that we, on a different mindset, we grew quite a lot, but then the world changed from day to night, from night to day, right? And so we knew that, 2024 for us was the year to validate the product we have built, everything that we have learned, and to test our efficiency. So let's see how fast can we grow while keeping costs extremely under control. And so you can imagine how your efficiency metrics and how your KPIs will look if you, do 3x in growth, but keep the same headcount. And that's, the equity story that we went out there to the market, explaining to the people like, hey guys, and this is what we've done. This is the product we have. This is the company we've built. This is the customer feedback. And we, as I said earlier, we truly believe there's a huge opportunity ahead of us. who wants to partner with us to continue pursuing this dream and to go after a massive market and with a product that, looks quite good.
Maybe if you could explain a little bit just about the go-to-market sort of
Mhm.
motion and how you're acquiring customers, and did anything change around that in 2024? Like, was there any adaptations that you needed to make to the market, or just refinements to improve the go-to-market motion? And then maybe touch on, so the close win rates massively improved. I'm sure the product was a big part of that. Anything outside of the product that helped you improve the close win rates as well?
My co-founder Julio, he oversaw the go-to-market teams with his focus. We distributed the company and he was fully focused on that go-to-market piece. And what his focus on the sales side was discipline. And he talks about 5 pillars, like having the best people possible, having the best people, period, enabling them, be on top of of the team, helping them every day, right? One thing that we say, we don't work with quarterly objectives. We work with monthly objectives, because why you're going to wait? Why you're only going to have 4 feedback touch points over the year when you can have 12? And then be extremely hands-on on the sales side, helping the team, coaching them, be working really close on the details of every deal, right? Build on technology, set up the teams for scalability, invest in tooling and in process to ensure that you don't need to grow your headcount tremendously to sustain a high growth rate, right? And so on one hand, I don't think Julio is extremely smart and he is brilliant, but what he did was, and the team, what they did is work hard, do the basics right, show up every day, and then with not the luck, but also leveraging on a really, really strong product that we had invested quite substantial amount of money, that we had been working to develop extremely close to our customers. And so all that combined is what provided to be the recipe for success.
So Julio is your co-founder, and for those that don't know, he's the CEO, right? And as you said, he owns the go-to-market sort of piece. But what does that look like? I mean, does he have a VP of sales or a CRO, and is there a CMO? And then he's working with them on the go-to-market, or is it fully involved? Is he? I know you sort of spoke about, speaking with hiring the best people, speaking with them every day, working hard, probably doing some sales himself. What does that look like from that CEO position with the kind of structure of the team, as you say, about owning the go-to-market?
I think, last year, it got pretty popular, the founder mode, right, Alex?
Yeah.
So, as we could say, as a YC company, we embodied that founder mode and mantra. And last year, we didn't have a CMO or a VP of sales. Julio and I working really close with the team. Most of the team has been with us for quite a substantial amount of time, and that's also one of our strengths, the seniority and the team that we've put in place that kept on this fight with us for a long period of time. And so, yes, Julio was overseeing directly the go-to-market function and putting a lot of effort on making that happen. As founders, I don't think there's no founder out there that is not selling, right? Although I'm not directly involved in sales, and I have and I try to keep the focus on what really matters, what moves the needle. Sometimes the time I'm here talking to you, helping on the go-to-market side, and also selling if needed. And so that is probably one of the areas for any founder, right, that will stay with you through all your journey. The day that we IPO, Alex, I'll tell you, if I keep on selling,
Yeah,
but probably it's like that, right? And nevertheless, but yes, Julio was keeping that close, working hand by hand with the go-to-market team and delivering such an amazing result.
I mean, just on the IPO thing, I don't know how long ago, maybe over a year ago, we had Henry Schuck from ZoomInfo on the podcast. And so this is post IPO, and he spends 50% of his time sales, meeting customers. With every CEO founder, it can be different in terms of like how much time they are spending, whether it is 50%. But I thought it super interesting that, this public company, I think valued at 15 billion at the time, and 50% of his time, he's kind of focused on sales. And I think just in general, an important reminder that probably the founder, should never stop selling. And I've sort of made that mistake in the past. SaaStock is going 10 years, and I was the first salesperson at SaaStock, right? And, got us to our first million in revenue. And, we got to a certain point, a couple of years ago, we built out the sales team. And I thought, okay, well, you've got a good sales team now. I don't need to be involved in sales, and could stop doing that, traveling around and doing all these dinners that are putting weight on me because I was running like you every morning. But it turned out that, retrospectively, that was a mistake because, key customers, liked it when, we took them out for dinner or, we're meeting with them. They felt that we became a bit, more transactional, and that impacted. So it was something when I look back at it, it's like, oh, I should never have stopped. So even though that we've got a great sales team there, should have continued. So hopefully, again, that is a helpful anecdote for the listeners there. Maybe just so you're in Barcelona, but Julio is in New York. Is that right? How and when did you make that decision? For one of you to remain in Spain and Julio to go to New York, and what does it look like? I guess from the customer base as well. I would imagine probably bigger opportunity in the US than there is in Spain. How does it look like in your customer base from a European to US perspective?
From the start, we knew, or we had the ambition to build a global leader. And on software, that means that you need to be in the States. So we didn't move into the US earlier because of COVID. Frontiers or Europeans were able to travel to the States without having to quarantine in November 2021. And that is when we opened the office in New York and we started traveling. I spent 1-2 weeks a month in New York, and while we were working on Julio's visa, because from the early days, our ambition was to be, as I was saying, really have a really big presence in the States. We're a US company, and we understood that meant that we needed to move to the US. Maybe San Francisco would have been probably a better location, someone said. Also, New York had a better commute to Europe because we had most of our team in Europe back in that day. So also the time difference, 6 hours versus 9. There is more of overlap. It makes things easier. But the idea of being there was from the start. Then the world through 2022, 2023, it changed. As we, the increase in interest rates caught us all by surprise. And then the mantra, as I was saying, growth at all costs to efficient growth. That meant that our plans to have almost 100 people office in New York in 2022 were put on hold. But Julio remained. Julio moved to the US in June 2022 with his family, and he stayed there. I travel more to the US, but at some point, the cost side, we say, okay, Julio, you stay in the States. I'll take care of Europe, right? We try to multiply ourselves. And in terms of market, US is the biggest market. Then Europe, UK, Nordics, Germany, France. And we also have customers in South America, in Africa, so almost all over the world. EBITDA is an international language. That's the beauty of Abacum, right? We don't suffer from localization, and we can sell anywhere, I would say. But our current focus is the US and Europe, in a sense. What else did you ask?
No, I think that sort of covered it. Maybe as we sort of look to wrap up. So obviously you've now got 60 million fresh in the bank, courtesy of Scale Venture Partners and some others. I guess maybe a few years ago and before the efficiency versus growth at all costs, then you would see the companies that are raised such amounts go out and hire a whole bunch of people and like look at. Typically, this is where a lot of the investment goes into, right, from raising capital. But now with this efficiency sort of mindset and raising 60 million, right, how do you think about, or how are you thinking about deploying it?
Well, a matter of ROI, right? It's every hire that you make needs to contribute positively into the company's economics, and so we have clear targets on efficiency. And growing doesn't mean that you're gonna forget about those KPIs. And in SaaS, it's true that you need to invest in growth. People notice the ramping period across several functions, and therefore that is what you need to take into account. How fast can I hire people? How fast can I ramp them? How fast they will have a positive contribution into the business, and keep on going while you are able, to build the processes, the tools, set up the foundations in order to be able to grow as fast as possible, but controlling your destiny as much as possible. And last years, a lot of companies, we knew that you could not go out to the market if your numbers were not really strong. Raising on those foundations was really hard and tough, and therefore, the relevance of cash flow and the amount of cash you have, when you might need to have to raise again, or when are you turning profitable? That's all the question marks that, startups, tech companies are asking themselves. So you are able to deliver the results that you need in order to potentially go out there into the market. And so for us, it's a matter of being extremely disciplined. The money today is not like back in 2021. You need to invest, spend it as fast as possible to grow. Don't worry about any other thing, and because money will come for free. Not at all. Today, it's a matter of when VCs look into your numbers, they expect to see growth but efficiency, and you need to combine both. And that's every day you wake up and you make sure that you are keeping that discipline, that consistency, across any function.
I guess finally, personal goal for you and Julio. I know you mentioned you want to grow from the outset a very big company. What does success look like for both of you? Is it an IPO? Is it something else?
Well, I'll talk for myself. Julio would have to answer for.
Yeah.
We'll have to leave his answer. In my case, what success looks, we embarked in this adventure because we thought the opportunity was massive, right? We were building a product in a big market, and therefore, there was the opportunity to build a really big company. Then as a founder, I know that every day I'm being assessed. Maybe I'm a good founder for 0, 20, 50 people, 100 people company. I have not yet challenged myself as a leader of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people company. I don't know if Abacum will get to those levels, but what I say is that this type of companies grow at a really fast speed, and therefore you need to ask yourself, am I able to follow, to keep up with the speed and the pace the company has? I work hard for that, right? I'm passionate about what we're doing, the product we're building, and so trying doing my best to help at long run. I do not know if I'll be, imagine Abacum is able to IPO. Would I be already the right leader for that type of company? Who knows? We'll see. And so for me, success is not a matter of I need to bring this company to IPO. For me, success is I'll do my best. I don't want to look back and say, I didn't put 100% on this. Into anything, into my family, into my kids. I did my best, and I got to the maximum. In that case, nothing to regret, even if it's Abacum is a failure. I've done everything I could. I try to do it the best I could in my way. And so if the answer is yes to those questions, I'll be extremely happy, whatever the outcome it is.
It's a great mindset, and perhaps a good reminder for everybody that ultimately, if we do our best, we couldn't ask for much more. That whatever happens, then there's no regrets. That you've enjoyed that journey. That's an important part of it. Well, Jorge, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Excited to do this in person tomorrow to the Barcelona SaaS founder community. So I'll see you tomorrow evening. And thank you for being on the SaaS Revolution show. Great to have you on. Congrats on the success so far.
Thank you very much, Alex. Looking forward to that.